New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
All right, here we go. Third time's a charm. What's going on? This is Jealous from Nick of Time Show. Here, give me that Knicks talk just in nick of time. And you already know we're here to talk Knicks versus Mavs preview. Before I get into the game and the preview of the game, I'm going to introduce my guys. First and foremost, you already know what it is my man, the Latin assassin, Mr. ESPN contributor, Mr. Posting and Toasting contributor, Mr. Deadspin contributor, my man, Lee Escobedo. What's going on?
Very happy to be here on this midday pod, man. We got the main man, slightly biased in the house, my favorite Mavs content creator and one of the few non-Mavs bums on the internet. I love
Don't you ever forget it.
Don't you ever forget it. You already know Lee does not associate with anybody that's a bum. So shout out to my man, slightly biased, who is a Mavs content creator, and he's going to give us all of the ins and outs of this Mavs team. And I'm sure you're excited about this matchup.
No, not really.
Mid versus mid.
Well, this is if anybody watching is a gambler, I don't even know what the line is. I'm about to look right now. I'd be shocked if the Mavericks are favorites. But they might be. Hold on, I'm about to look. Because if the Mavs are the favorites, I would highly recommend anybody bet on for everybody to bet on the Knicks.
Wow, this is the most pessimistic guest of their own team we've ever had. I thought we were coming here and we're gonna be like, all right, both of us are looking at each other like this should be an easy win. You know, the Mavs have been struggling recently.
No,
lost to the Rockets.
Yeah, they've
lost
been
to the
struggling
Pistons.
mightily.
Yeah,
they're one in their last 5, one in their last 6, something like that.
1-8 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, 1-8 on the road, or 1-9 now. I mean, it's them and the Magic have the worst records on the road. Mavs I don't even remember their road win. I'm actually being serious. I can't for the life of me remember what the road win was now that I'm thinking about it. But it's been bad.
It's been really bad. It's been really bad for you guys. But listen, there's a lot of ex-Knicks on your team. So technically, it might be like a home game. I don't know. It could be like...
Well, the Mavericks can't beat the Knicks ever since the KP trade for some reason. I don't know what it is. There's just something in the air every time the Mavs play the Knicks. 11:30 o'clock Central Standard Time game, road game, Brunson revenge game. I don't have a good feeling at all. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, the Brunson revenge game is on the clock. Yeah, I feel like there was some bad juju the way KP left, and I think it kind of cursed that situation over there because he's actually playing well versus. In Washington over there, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean he's having a great start to the season, man. Shout out to him.
Yeah, even some Knicks fans are like, bring KP back. I'm not quite there yet. But
there's a lot of similarities between our two teams too. I think not just where we are, we're both like 1 or 2 games below 500, but there's also like uncertainty around how do we get better. We're both kind of like tied to bad front office or bad coaching. Both of us have like coaches that have a lot of the same sins, a lot of the same arrogant nuances or failure to experiment with the roster. There's guys that we wish played more, like Obi Toppin and Christian Wood. There's guys we wish played less, like Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose, or on y'all's side, Tim Hardaway Jr. And maybe at this point Reggie Bullock. So yeah, I think we're coming to this game both needing a win to get us a little bit over that hump. But I think that the Knicks, because of Brunson, and really only because of Brunson, are going to win this game. And he's probably going to go off of 40.
40?
Yeah, I'm a 40 burger. Who's going to stop him? I don't see Josh Green ain't going to stop him. This guy's torched all these guys in practice. He knows all their moves and what to expect.
I'd be shocked if he got 40, but I think he'll go off though. I do. I think he's gonna have a nice game. I will say though, when I think the Mavericks are actually favorites, I just went and looked. I'm completely shocked by that. But for the Mavs, if they want to win, they're just gonna have to make their shots. I mean, the Knicks. I don't know if the 3-point defense has improved at all, but I know at one point it was like historically bad for you guys. And the Mavericks shoot I think I don't know if it's still the most corner threes in the NBA, but it was for the longest time. They get good shots, they get good threes. The problem is right now they're just not making them. And if they start making their shots, I mean, we saw on Tuesday night they beat the Warriors in like a game where the Warriors were going off. Like it was an offensive, showdown. It wasn't like the Mavericks stopped Steph or anything. They just had to answer with 3 after 3. So if they do that, I like their chances, but it's just not a game that the Mavericks historically do well in. A game like this.
If you're looking at the chart right there, 3-point percentage, as bad as you guys are, we're worse. All right.
Yeah, but the thing is like we shoot, like that's all we do is shoot threes. There's no other game. So like that 18% was the 18th overall for 3-point percentage is made worse by the fact that they don't do anything else.
That is your offense. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been wanting to ask. I'm really curious, and I'm glad that I finally have like someone on the pod where we can have a face-to-face conversation. And you're plugged in as can be, as someone who watches every game. You stream every game. I don't know if the audience doesn't know. Like you're on multiple games, not just Mavs games, but every Mav game you're streaming live, giving like gut reactions of what's happening. What do you think is wrong with the Mavs, and what was a turnaround from a Western Conference final run to now, outside the obvious of Brunson losing? What's your opinion on that?
Well, they're not making shots. I mean, like Kid has said, and Nico Harrison even said today that at the end of the day, we just need to make shots and we'll be better. And they're right. That whenever they say that, it pisses off Mavs fans, but they are right. Like the Mavericks, last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, they were tied with the Indiana Pacers with the highest shot quality in the league. So they generate good looks. They shoot good looks from 3. They're just not hitting them. So, they'll get on a hot stretch. Like, I don't know when it will be, but Tim will get hot from 3. Reggie will eventually start hitting threes. Dorian will get hot. Maxey will get hot. Luka's already starting to get hot from 3. And they'll go on a run here and there. But the main problem is we have nobody else who can create. You watch the Grizzlies. You watch the Celtics. I know that, like, the Celtics are in the middle of one of the best offensive seasons of all time so far. But the Celtics, the Warriors, they have guys who not only can they catch the ball and shoot the ball if they need to, but then they can drive, and that sets up so many different things. The Mavericks do not have that. It's Luka, and that's it. Like, and Dinwiddie is just like here and there. He's a shooting guard through and through, not a point guard whatsoever. And defensively, it's fallen off of a cliff. It's just all bad. I don't know what a singular fix could be other than making shots, but yeah. That's where they're at right now.
If for us, we have Jalen Brunson, who is our ipso facto playmaker. We rely on him a lot to make the engine go. But after that, it's like touch and go sometimes. RJ and Randall, they can have games where they can be second fiddle and get everybody else involved, but they also can have games where they go off the rails. So it's not super consistent. But between those 2 guys, they can contribute as a guide to make plays for other people when they put their mind to it. And oddly enough, it seems like it's been more so Randall than even RJ. Really, even though more than I would like to admit. So
I think Julius has been fine at times. Like I was actually thinking about this a couple days ago because I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan. I just not like that huge of a fan of his game, but I will say this year because I watched that Bucks game a couple nights ago, and it feels like because Julius didn't shoot the ball well whatsoever in that one, and I just felt that his body language was better though than it has been in years past, even in a game where he wasn't shooting all that well. But I know like his defensive effort can be really bad sometimes. But yeah, I look at Julius as a guy. If you put him on the Mavs, honestly, would probably make a pretty big difference.
Yeah,
I just came to that realization because people used to float that idea out all the time. And I'd be like, hell no, I don't want Julius Randle on the Mavericks. But he would actually make some sense with this team right now. Listen, and I feel like the Knicks is a weird spot for him right now, just with how the team's constructed.
Agreed.
It would be the same thing. You want to say something, Lee? I feel like you want to say something.
I was actually, before we finish this conversation, I want to put a little thought in slightly biased head for us to talk about a little bit later. I'd like to hear your critique on the Knicks roster and why you think the Knicks are failing this year. I know you've been heavily critical of RJ Barrett. We've gotten to a few Twitter back and forths. I would love to give you an opportunity to really try to roast us and let us know what you think from an outsider's perspective, what's wrong with our franchise.
Right now?
Yeah. I mean, this is the right time. Let's roll with it.
I mean, I'm not as plugged into the Knicks as I am with the Mavs. I just think, I don't know. At the end of the day, the NBA is a talent-driven league. And, the Mavericks have Luka, right? So no matter how lackluster the complementary pieces are for him, you always have Luka, so you can win any game. I think the Knicks still lack that. And at the end of the day, you know, that's what they wanted RJ to be, and he's just not that guy. He has his moments, but he's just never going to be that guy, right? I think most Knicks fans will say, like the best case scenario would be like a Wiggins right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Like just like a really high-end role player, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, but it's not the superstar. Brunson's not a superstar. A borderline like all-star guy for sure, and that's great, but not a superstar, and neither is Julius Randle, obviously. So I think that's where most of it comes from. It kind of like a weird abundant, like too many young guys almost, you know, like too many pieces where it's like, okay, well, you want Grimes to play, you want all of these other guys to play, and then you have a coach like you mentioned earlier who is just super kind of like a dinosaur. He wants to play the old guys, you know, and that could be really frustrating for a fan. I don't think that y'all's roster is bad at all. Like I think you guys are who you are, which is just kind of a middle of the road team, which you look at the pieces. If you were to plug in like a superstar or star level player to this exact roster, it would be a really good team. I think so.
Agreed.
But it's just you're missing that one big piece, which, you know, isn't the end of the world. That's not a bad place to be at, especially considering, what is it, 9 picks in the next 7 years for you guys?
Yeah.
Could be in a lot worse position.
I agree with everything you said, bro.
Cry. Go ahead, Lee.
No, I was just saying, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, like I don't think the Knicks are like in some trap like Bulls situation where there's not that much young talent and all the good talent's old and it's not good enough and you don't have picks really. Like that's a bad place to be in. Yeah. I mean, Mavs kind of is not a great place to be in, but you still have Luka at least. But Knicks could definitely be in a worse spot. Like,
yeah.
Every time I go on Knicks, like the Knicks Reddit or something, it's just like a meltdown over there. I feel like it could be way worse.
Yeah, it's. I think Knicks are used to having meltdowns. Knicks fans.
Yeah.
We've been really bad for so long, and this year, for the first time, well, for a while, we're not really bad. We're just like kind of bad. You know what I'm saying? We're like,
yeah, that can be hard because you see your.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's just like PTSD or something where they just used to freaking out.
No,
but if you really calm down, you're not in a really bad position moving forward. It's just like the next move has to be the best move pretty much. We can't blow the next move. Because if we blow the next move, then we look up and we'll be the Chicago Bulls. And then we'll be like, uh-oh. Yeah. That's when I feel like we should have a meltdown. But I don't think we should have a meltdown quite yet, personally.
No, I agree. And Donovan Mitchell's playing well, so that kind of makes it worse. Because everybody wanted, Knicks fans wanted Donovan Mitchell. Or at least most of them, from what I saw. So, him playing well.
It's been a debate. It's been displayed. It's a split. Some people feel like, I feel like if we give all our assets for him, are we going to be a top team who's contending? I don't think so. So I think we'd be right in that same spot, mid, with no assets to move up.
The proposed packages for Donovan Mitchell, I did not like for you guys one bit. I thought it was way too much, and it wouldn't have. I didn't think at least it would have put you guys in championship contention, and that would have been like your big shot, really. I don't think like for the Cavs, it makes way more sense.
I agree.
Than the Knicks.
I agree. So what do you think of this matchup? What do you think about the Brunson versus Luka matchup? Because I feel like that's the most exciting matchup to look at.
No, it definitely. I'm excited for one reason, and that's I want to see if there's like some spice going on because it seems like everything was very, friendly. Like there's been nothing said from Brunson outside of like some stuff coming from his camp. Like some weird like fringe reports coming from his camp that he didn't like he wanted to be away from Luka or whatever. Like that's not what the reports were for verbatim, but something like that. I'm interested to see if there's like some shit talking or some like back and forth, like some yelling, or if it's just going to be like friendly, Luka dapping it up with Brunson and, they're joking around and stuff like that. But make no mistake about it. Luka's going to hunt Brunson. Like that's going to happen throughout the game. Luka's going to call for screens until Brunson gets switched on. He's going to want to post them up 100%. And I don't know how often you guys hunt mismatches really, but I would like to imagine Brunson's probably going to hunt Luka as well. I think it's going to be a fun back and forth between those two.
That's what I'm looking forward to most. Hunt mismatches at times, especially when it comes to Julius. I think that might weirdly be our advantage. I'm not sure if anybody over there can really hold Julius. He's just kind of strong. But at the same time, he's kind of erratic. So if he has an all night, then he's going to carry us for like a good 2 quarters, probably 2.5 quarters.
Well, he always plays well in Dallas against the Mavs. So he always goes off in Dallas against the Mavs. He did last year. I'll never forget that. And he was walking off saying, this is my gym. This is my gym off the floor. And I was like, oh my God. This is excruciating.
And on the other side, for Brunson, you guys don't really have like a shot blocker, really. I know, because I don't think you guys are playing McGee right now, right?
No, he's not. Maxi's our shot blocker, but he's more of like a help side blocker. We don't really have like a legit rim protector who's posted up underneath the basket. Gotcha. So Brunson's gonna have his chances in the paint. Yeah, he's going to. They've been getting killed in the paint.
Yeah, the nights he's going off for 30 are the nights when there hasn't been a big center in the paint. So I expect a back and forth between Luka and Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a good matchup for the Mavericks. Like even if you just look outside of all the stuff I said earlier, weird like road game. The Mavericks have only won one road game, and it was in October, so they haven't won one in a month. They play terribly on the road. Day games, they're always terrible. They're on a rough streak. Outside of all that, though, this is just also a weird matchup personnel-wise for the Mavericks. So yeah, I'm not expecting much. I can't believe they're favorites.
I think the rebounding battle is going to be really key to this. The Mavs have really suffered on the rebounding end, and the Knicks starting lineup is really good. Rebounders across, including Jalen Brunson. So I think that if Mitch and Julius are on their game on offensive boards, the Mavs are going to have a really tough time keeping up with us with the second chance points we don't get in the paint.
Yeah, no, Mitchell Robinson's probably going to have, 11 offensive rebounds against the Bucks. He's going to have like anytime the Mavericks play like a legitimate rebounder, they go off always. And I can't imagine that's going to change between last night when Isaiah Stewart dropped. I don't know how many rebounds he got, and tomorrow I can't imagine much is changing.
I got another Jalen Brunson question for you. When that move happened, I think that when we talked, it was before the season happened. Brunson was there, but I think the season hadn't started yet when you had me on the show, which I appreciate again, brother. It was very sweet of you. Yeah. There were a lot of Mav fans that were responding that in spite and, daddy's boy and this and that, and we don't need him. And Dinwiddie's going to fill that role. Dinwiddie, not Dunwiddle. Dinwiddie's going to fill that role.
I'm going to be nice because we got guests here. But as a Knicks fan, I despise Dinwiddie so much because of his tenure with the Nets. But go ahead, Lee.
You don't need to be nice, fan. Mavs fans they're off the deep end. Like we shit on our own players. Like it's all open game right now.
Which I didn't know until I met you. You were the first one that really showed me that Mavs fans could be critical, and that made me feel differently about Mavs fan for life. I was like, these guys are so soft. They can't critique their own players or front office. But you opened up a door to all these Twitter spaces. I was like, oh, there's actually some dogs out there.
Well, you're talking about the Miffles, the MFFLs. Those are the ones that are bad. But like, if you were to look around Twitter, the one way you can know is ask about Mark Cuban, because if anyone's like, he's one of the best owners in the league, you're like, that guy is a Miffle and his opinion doesn't matter.
All right, so about Jalen Brunson, I really thought that was going to have a really huge impact on not necessarily the regular season, but the ability to maintain winning streaks, the ability to rest Luka in imperative moments where the usage rate is so high that his body's become broken down, and going deep playoff runs in the postseason.
Yeah.
What was your opinion when it happened, and has that evolved at all? Did you sense that Brunson could be what he is in New York, which is not only highly efficient outside of a three-point shot, still suffering, but he's also become a great team leader, a pretty solid first option, and seems to be on his way potentially to an all-star berth?
Yeah, I knew he was going to be good. That was never a question in my mind. I knew that he was going to be good over there. I did trick myself into thinking that the Mavericks could, make do, like just. I thought it would maybe be a by committee thing, where it would be certain matchups. It would be Dinwiddie. I always knew Dinwiddie was more of a shooting guard, which he is. And maybe sometimes it'll be Josh Green, depending if he's playing well. Sometimes it might be Frank if they need defense, and Frank hasn't played at all. But I didn't expect it to go the way that it is. The Mavs desperately miss Brunson. I mean, there's no two ways around it. The guy who could create his own offense at a pinch, a guy who could create for others as well. And the Mavs desperately miss that. They just do. And I thought like Christian Wood's offense, that brings another wrinkle to things, but they don't utilize him the way that everyone thought they would. It's just been really rough. And yes, Brunson would be a really nice stabilizing option right now in stretches where either Luka's off the floor, like you said, or Luka's just, they're double teaming. I mean, teams are I don't know if you guys watched that Pistons game last night. Like teams, and this isn't just what Detroit did, but the Raptors are doing it. The Nets were doing it. They're giving up 4-on-3s every single time, like without even thinking twice about it. Like they're not just doubling Luke in the post or sending a help whenever he goes to drive. They are trapping him in half court. They're cool with giving up the short roll because Luka will make that little pocket pass every single time. I don't know if I've ever seen one get picked off. And they're letting Maxey or Dwight Powell or whoever roll to the rim as a short roller. And they know that they're not going to have to pay the consequences right now because nobody else can do anything. And it's really hard to watch. Brunson would obviously help tremendously.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks that I don't think some Mavs fans felt some resentment to Brunson. I never did at all. I think Lee, I was telling you how I'll always respect Brunson. I always have love for Brunson because, he was a 2nd round pick and never complained or anything. Just worked his ass off for the Mavs. It was great for us. But yeah, I think the Mavericks miss him way more than I thought they would. And definitely way more than I'm guessing the Mavericks team as a team in front office thought they would.
How do you get better with very limited trade assets and very limited draft picks? We own y'all's pick. And the way it's looking right now, you're not going to be so bad you're a lottery. I think you're probably going to be somewhere between 11 and 13, so it'll convert to us. But with that in mind, how do the Mavs – everyone's saying the move's going to be made. We're going to make a trade. What is that trade, and what assets do you even have to trade?
Well, the best way would be a Portland Trailblazers-esque scenario. I'll never be for tanking when Luka's on the team because, knock on glass, that insinuates Luka is out for a very extended period of time with an injury. So I would never hope for that. And also that's just a risky game to play with the superstar because you don't know how they're going to take it. But it's like a Portland Trailblazers situation last year where they get rid of CJ, they get rid of who else did they get rid of last year? Norman Powell. They tank, they get a top 7 pick. It's Shaden Sharp. He's been really good. They free up cap space. That would be the best case scenario this year. It's not going to happen though. And I've been thinking that the trade, which I do think is coming next offseason, I don't know what it's going to be. They have all of their picks, assuming, the Knicks get their pick next year, which is top 10 protected. Then they'll be free to trade whatever first they want. And I've been thinking lately, the best thing they could do is do a series of Jeremy Grant trades, which is a future first and maybe a contract to get Jeremy Grant level players, really high end role guys to put alongside Luka rather than going for that one, DeJounte Murray level player, which I don't think puts the Mavs over the hump either, to be 100% honest with you. I think if it's Luka and 3 more really, really solid role guys, probably does put him over the hump.
But I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, we're cap strapped. I mean, we're in the luxury tax. It's a terrible situation. And there's no Dwight Powell's the only expiring this year. Then you have Dinwiddie expiring next year. But I mean, if you trade Dinwiddie, are you getting more ball handlers, or are we back to square one basically? Yeah. They just extended Dorian. They just extended Kleba. Tim's on a 4-year deal. Luka just started his supermax. What else? I mean, they gave JaVale 3 years. They're in a bad spot. There's no 2 ways around it.
I think that Kristaps Porzingis trade was one of the few players I felt like a team lost both ends of it. I think it's pretty undisputed that you lost acquiring him because of how it strapped you now to be able to be flexible. But I know Dinwiddie's been really solid for y'all as a point guard. And really, more you're right. He's more of a shooting guard in a point guard's body. But I think if you would have waited or either trade him earlier or wait a little bit longer, you could have gotten a better return. You had to attach that 2nd round pick, which hurt. Bertan's contract's unmovable.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that second trade was a loss in hindsight now that you're in a new season, or did you just think it was either equal or you guys won that trade?
No, they didn't win the trade because I guarantee you the Wizards are very happy with it because KP's been great. But I think it was they don't make the Western Conference Finals without that trade. I'm 100% convinced of that. And KP also needed to go. It was just time. So I'm okay with that trade. It's the original KP trade, which was the huge problem. And that's just a hindsight thing because I love that trade at the time. And if you ask any Mavs fan, everyone was ecstatic whenever they first traded for Kristaps because it was just a perfect fit, both on paper. You had the European thing. You had that going for it. But then it was also man, this 7-2 guy can pick and pop. They can run a pick and roll. He can block shots. He can catch and shoot. He can drive. He can do all this stuff. And there is this revisionist history going on right now, and it's mainly to slander Luka, where people are like, "Oh, KP was like what KP's doing in Washington, he could never do with Luka." That's just not true. They had moments where Luka and KP were legitimately great together. I think KP was first or second team all bubble whenever they were in the bubble. He was really good. He just couldn't stay on the floor. And it was that trade and that contract that just killed them. Yeah. And that's why they're where they're at right now.
Yeah. We were devastated.
What happened?
So you and I were devastated when that trade happened. Right? All Knicks fans were when we lost KP.
I was, but I was a little bit more level-headed than most Knicks fans because I knew the situation. We was in a situation where we had a guy who had a big injury, and he was up for a big contract extension, and he hasn't shown that it could be in a court for a long period of time. And on top of that, he couldn't post up Marcus Smart, and he's 7 feet.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I had a lot of questions about KP, to be honest with you, and I'm on record for saying that live when that trade happened.
Yeah, that was I mean, it's just in the playoff series against the Clippers, not the one in the bubble, but the one 2 years ago. I mean, he was literally relegated to sitting in the corner. Like, that's how terrible he was playing. Like, he couldn't post up. You said he couldn't post up Marcus Smart. Or at least Marcus Smart was defensive player of the year. In the series against the Clippers, he couldn't post up 37-year-old Rajon Rondo. It was the most disgusting performance I've ever seen. I mean, God bless him. I'm happy he's doing well right now in Washington, but man, I don't know. So the Wizards trade, I don't regret at all. The original Knicks trade, I do, but it was a home run hitting move, and they just swung and missed, you know.
Right. And I mean,
Knicks,
I mean, we made that okay. It wasn't a home run trade for us, but it wasn't like I don't feel like we lost the trade. I just felt like I feel like we bunted, you know. I feel like we got on base.
Yeah. You moved the runner over?
Yeah, we got to run him over. We got pick. We got quickly. We got cat space. We bunted. You know what I'm saying?
We both wasted Dennis Smith Jr. I wish one of our teams would have been able to hit on him. I'm glad he's working out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Dennis Smith's kind of like Brunson in a way where I'll always root for him no matter what. Like, you know, and I like Mavs fans were mad that we didn't go get Dennis Smith Jr. It's like, man, like God bless him again, but he's just like in and out of the league and stuff. Like, I can't be too mad at a team for not going after Dennis Smith Jr. at this point.
Yeah,
and I'm happy he's in Charlotte. I'd rather him be in Charlotte where he's either hurt or out of the rotation again, but he was like starting games, and he was never going to do that with the Mavericks if he came back this year.
I don't know. I haven't checked up on him in a while. Before he was balling. He was giving like 9 assists a game in double figures and playing really great defense.
Yeah, I mean that overtime game that with the Knicks and with the Knicks and the Hornets earlier this year, whereas Dennis Smith Jr. and Brunson going at it, that was crazy.
Yeah, he was really good. I was like, where was this when he was with the Knicks? Knicks fans was like, we should have kept him. Look what he's doing. I was like, listen, man.
That's exactly how Mavs fans were too.
If he was here, if he's doing that when he was here, then he would still be here. But he needed the growth and needed to change the scenery. So good for him. Hopefully he continues with that. I have a Knicks fan
and the
who
opportunity.
Asks, what do you guys think of Frank?
The Frank's like a cult hero with the Mavs fans. I feel like it's kind of the way that it was with the Knicks, right? Isn't that how he kind of became towards the end, where everyone was like, "We love Frank."
Yes.
But hey, listen, here's it. I've been on record saying this. I legitimately don't think the Mavs beat the Suns without Frank. Like him playing defense on Devin Booker and Chris Paul. I genuinely don't think the Mavericks win the series without him. But he hasn't played at all this year, so.
Which is crazy because that was like he's going to be like a point guard off the bench.
Yeah, our GM in the summer was asked like, "Hey, are you guys going to go out and get like a Goran Dragic?" And he straight up said verbatim, "A lot of people forget about Frank." No, you guys forgot about Frank. He's not on the floor.
Man, we thought Jason Kidd was going to get him right, like Fizz was going to get Emmanuel Mudiay right, but I guess not. He's right on the bench.
I mean, the thing is if you look at the on-off stuff, and it just doesn't really matter with Frank because we're talking like 20 minutes. But the Mavericks defense, and this was true in the playoffs and like in the regular season last year, they're way better when Frank's on the floor defensively. Like legitimately, insanely good. It's like a 90 defensive rating, but their offense is just horrendous because Frank it's just not going to happen. I don't think with him offensively ever.
I got a great question here in the chat. Nick Yak asked this dude which team does he think is closer? I'm guessing closer to winning a championship with players and future picks.
The Mavericks. Mavericks have the hardest piece of the puzzle to find. The superstar. Like that's the thing I'm at this season where, man, yeah, we're down bad right now. But if you can get in the playoffs with Luka, because we've seen how he plays in the playoffs, and just hope some shooters get hot, you could always go on a run like they did last year. So the team with Luka will always be closest, in my opinion. But as far as like supporting casts go and stuff, the Knicks are definitely in a better position if they were to if they were to either like just luck out, I don't know how they would do it. Maybe in the lottery or something, luck out and get a super top pick this upcoming year. I mean, you never know. If the NBA were to rig, if the NBA were to rig a lottery, this would be the one.
Man,
with Wemby.
I'm still tight. The Lakers got that top pick and was able to trade for Anthony Davis out of nowhere. I was like, what that was crazy.
Yeah, that was and then they the Pelicans with their 4% pick or whatever got moved up to 1 to get Zion. I'm pretty sure it was the Grizzlies. The Mavericks that year like had a coin toss with the Grizzlies to determine who got like those pick odds, and they lost the coin toss to the Grizzlies. So there's a world where Ja Morant is a member of the Mavericks.
Yeah.
I'm very pessimistic based on the limited options for you guys to improve in the next couple of years. I'm very pessimistic about Luka finishing this contract in Dallas. And I know that Mav fans kill me when I say stuff like that, but do you think that right now he's on track to finish that contract, or do you see at some point, let's say things stay the same, that Nico Harrison is going to end up, making so many bad moves or not making moves that he leaves?
Well, I think I tweeted this out, and I firmly believe this. Even if Luka requested a trade, I don't think Cuban would trade him. I really don't think he would. I think that Cuban would definitely say something stupid like, "Oh, I don't want to be the one to trade Luka. I'd rather him leave for nothing in free agency." And he would actually do that 100%. Whether or not Luka would ask out, I genuinely don't know. Like, I don't know Luka like that. I think there is a difference between international players and American-born players. I just think there is a difference in how they operate. I think that's just apparent throughout history. Like you have Dirk, Giannis. Obviously, the Bucks ended up winning, but Giannis signed his extension before they won that ring. Jokic too, obviously. I don't know, because the thing is I was thinking about this today. It's a 5-year deal, but it's basically 4 because the 5th year's a player option, and Luke is not picking that up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I really think it's 3, like including this year, because after that 3rd year, you really got to start asking yourself some tough questions, because you cannot afford to have Luka leave in free agency for nothing. Like that cannot happen. If he's going to go, you need to get a king's ransom for him so you could rebuild your franchise. So it's really now, next year, and the year after. That's your window right now, currently. And if I knew the answers, I'd be making millions of dollars in the front office, because I don't know. I don't think anybody knows how
it's
they can
funny.
get to where they need to be in 3 years.
I don't know. I know you guys say you're close. You're definitely closer because you have Luka, but like your maneuverability is still cash strapped. Like I kind of like we have like the opposite problem, really. Like I kind of feel like we might be on a realistic. I don't know. To me, it seems like we could be on a similar-ish timeline. I don't know. Like we could get lucky this year and get a pick or the right person to ask out or whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you guys,
I don't know, man.
If you guys get that superstar, you're definitely closer as far as supporting casts go. Assuming that, like, if you trade for that superstar, you don't gut your entire team, which I think you guys are even too deep for that. But at the end of the day, I'm just always going to go with the team who has a top 3, top 5 player. That's how you win.
I get it.
Yeah, I would put Luka number 2. I think Luka's number 2 after Giannis. He's my favorite non-Knick player for sure. I shared this on your show. I love Luka Doncic. I want Luka Doncic in a Knicks jersey so damn bad. I would give up everything I have for it. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's the type of guy you can build around and win multiple championships with if you have a smart front office. And I think if I was going to put blame on anyone for where you guys are, to me, it's a combination of Donnie Nelson and Nico Harrison. I think have fumbled the bag in multiple capacities. Most notably the KP trade, and then losing Brunson for nothing, and just making moves that weren't aligned with like kids' priorities, like Christian Wood, where you fleeced Houston and then you not utilize him to his full potential, and then like having to give up a 2nd round pick and only getting Dinwiddie back in that KP trade. I think that trade could have been better. There's just like moves that are unimpressive, and you can feel Luka's frustration is building a little bit, not having someone else to help him out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would put the blame mostly on Donnie Nelson, just because it all ties back to the original KP trade. You've literally not been able to do anything since that, trade-wise. You've just been so limited. And another reason for that is I saw this recirculating today on Twitter. And I don't know, because this is just like a draft day rumor thing. So I don't know if it's 100% true or not. But when the Mavericks made the trade for Luka, they gave up the next year's 1st-round pick as well. So that also kind of limited things to where the only pick they could trade for KP ended up being the 2021 pick. instead
That was
of
Cam Reddish.
Yeah, it was,
I think the other pick ended up being Cam Reddish.
yeah. The other pick ended up being Cam Reddish, which whatever. Like he wouldn't have succeeded on the Mavericks. There's no way. Like Rick Carlisle would have hated his guts. But
Don't tell Knicks
that
fans
trade, the rumors going around is the Mavericks didn't have to give up a future first because the Hawks were just wanting to flip 5 and 3 and have the Mavericks take on Kent Bazemore's contract. And the Mavericks were not going to do that. And that was almost a deal breaker. So the Mavericks almost didn't end up with Luka Doncic. And they would have drafted, this is on record, they would have drafted Wendell Carter Jr. at 5 because they didn't want Kent Bazemore's contract. So that's how close this front office came to bungling. I made this joke yesterday on Twitter when the Mavericks were playing bad. They would be the Austin Mavericks right now. Like they would be the Austin Mavericks right now if the Luka trade didn't happen. Like they would be so terrible. There's just no way they would be in a good place at all.
Listen, man.
Agreed.
There was rumors that the Knicks were looking to trade down to get Darius Garland. I remember.
That was the RJ year, right?
Yeah, that was the RJ.
They the same draft.
And I remember people was calling me crazy for considering it. I was like, the kid can pass, dribble, and shoot.
RJ was pretty consensus. RJ was pretty consensus top 3 that year, though. So
yeah,
it's
he
not
was.
Like this,
I was sounding crazy in front of people. I was sounding crazy, and ultimately I did pick RJ, but I just look less crazy now. The
Cavs got flamed for the Garland pick at the time.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it was like this clear and obvious thing. But
no, it wasn't clear and obvious. But it was just like, yo, we need guys who can pass, dribble, and shoot. RJ came in and he couldn't shoot, just like everybody else on the team. So it's like, where are we going with all these players on the team who can't shoot? Wait, we're looking at team stats. Oh, 30th from 3. Yeah, that's where we're going right now.
Yeah. Man,
well, ironically,
really,
we're still top 10 in points per game shooting 30 from 3. So
who's y'all's best shooter? Grimes, Fournier? I mean, like
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, Obi Toppin.
Yeah, what is he shooting? Isn't he like high 40s or something?
I think he's down to 38% now.
He might be down to 30.
Because on paper it should be Fournier, but
yeah, it's either him or Grimes.
But Grimes is the best shooter last season at 38%. This year, he started out kind of late because he just came back for like 4 or 5 games. So he hasn't really got his shooting game. His shooting legs back. He only shot well 1 game so far versus the Pistons, where he went 3 for 4 from 3. But he really hasn't been hitting from 3 yet. But the defense has been tremendous, though. So I actually think defensively, we're going to be a lot better moving forward because we got Mitch Robinson back recently, and we got Grimes back recently. So our defense should be a lot better than it has been. It's just that Randall and RJ, they're going to have to like actually try. They actually try like we did against the Bucks. Well, RJ looked like he tried. Randall, he had his bouts, but he tried more than usual versus the Bucks.
Man, sometimes I'll see like the Twitter compilations of Randall's like defensive lapses, it's just with a coach like Thibodeau, it shocks me that that's like a regular occurrence almost. You would think Tibbs would have him out of the game immediately and benched.
Yeah, they have a toxic love affair for sure.
Yeah, that's like shocking to me. But I've always found it interesting how it's I think it's mainly because of the pieces surrounding him. But last year I always thought Brunson, not a great defender or anything, but I never found myself being like, oh God, Brunson's just getting cooked. Yeah, he tries. I mean, he usually, like I think last year he led the league in charges taken.
Still that.
So he's always in the right spot, right time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think I see sometimes Knicks fans are just really upset about his defense. I think it has more to do with there's not too many other great perimeter defenders at times surrounding him.
Well, we just, like I said, we just got Grimes back. Before we starting Evan Fournier. And Evan Fournier, of course, is a turnstile or a cone or whatever object you want to call him on defense. So Grimes is next to him now, so it's a little bit better. But on top of that, when there's actions that involve both Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson together, that's when it starts to really get weird. I think Randle, for some reason, he gets really confused on where he needs to rotate on pick and roll actions. And Brunson is kind of the same. Like I feel like he gets confused a little bit in pick and rolls action as well. but maybe it's the new team thing. I'm not sure how it was when he was with Dallas Mavericks. How was he in pick and roll there?
Like I said, Brunson was always like a fine defender. You would rarely ever find yourself like, oh my God, Brunson, like he's killing us out there.
Mm-hmm.
So he was pretty good last year. I always thought he was just super solid defensively for his size and everything. Obviously, not like a good defender, but never like a real liability. You felt fine with him out there closing games.
Yeah, okay.
Which is what you want.
Yeah, so it's probably just Drew Randall messing up everything. Most likely, probably a combination of that and him being on a new team. But
yeah.
Yeah, salute to the chat, first of all. Salute to the chat. I haven't chatted y'all in a while. It's your first time here. We're here talking Knicks Mavs with slightly biased. I feel some of you guys seem confused. Like, is that slightly biased in it? Yes, let's see it. Say hi. All right.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, so I recognize some of these people from my chat.
No, that's rad.
Right. If you're a basketball fan, you're a Knicks fan, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you're into Mavs basketball as well, go ahead and follow Slightly Biased and give him a shout. All right. But shout out to Nick Yak, Drebo, The Weeknd, everybody else is rocking the KFT show. And as always, shout out to FuboTV.com. If you go to FuboTV.com, /KOT, you can get MSG free for 7 days. And you can watch other sports channels as well and regular cable. And if you do us a favor, if you want to get to Fubo TV and you click the link or type in FuboTV.com /KOT, you help us out. We get a little percentage of that. So shout out to FuboTV.com for linking up with us. All right. How is Christian Wood? Because when it comes to this game, I feel like we should be fine when it comes from bench to bench because we're so deep. But I do feel like the Christian Wood Obi matchup worries me a little bit.
I don't. It's just will Christian Wood play 30 minutes? I mean, that's really the only question. And then will they run pick and rolls? If Luka and Christian Wood are playing together and they run the pick and roll, it's unstoppable for anybody. Like that's just the way it's been this year. They've feasted whenever they do it. They just don't do it. I don't know if it's a kid thing. I don't know if it's a Luka thing. But you never know what you're gonna get for Christian Wood. So I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Like it could be good, it could be bad, it could be anywhere in between. Somebody was telling me this yesterday, and it's so true. I mean, you guys remember the Tim Hardaway Jr. experience, I'm sure. But It's like with Tim, immediately, it's like, okay, it's gonna be a bad Tim game. He misses his first two shots. It's not turning around. For Christian Wood, like he'll start 0-4, then he'll go 5 for his next 6, then he'll be 0 for 3. Then he'll turn the ball over 2 times, but then he'll have 3 dunks at the end of the game. Like it's just all over the place. And yeah, if it's Wood against Obi Toppin, I would like to think Wood would have a pretty good time in that matchup. But whether or not he's going to get that opportunity, that is what remains to be seen. I just don't. You never know. Like the Mavericks are an impossible team to predict.
What's keeping him off
Josh
the floor?
Green might get 10
I thought
minutes.
that was the biggest signing of the offseason.
I've always said this, and this was always my conspiracy theory. That was just almost like a 2K trade finder trade. They didn't go out looking for Christian Wood. I think they had 5 contracts that they needed to get rid of that were expiring. Like they just needed the roster space. They were just like, all right, let's see. Any team out there want these guys in a first round pick? Like we'll just take something off your hands, like a late first. And Christian Wood popped up, and then they're like, all right, we'll try to make this work. Like it was never we need Christian Wood. Like that's the next piece of our puzzle. It was just available to them. I don't think Kid obviously doesn't like him at all. For one reason or another. I have no idea. So yeah, nobody knows. I mean, this is the mystery of the Mavs season currently is what's going on behind closed doors. Because Josh, like if you just look at the on-off data, you look at the lineup data, it's clear and obvious, man. Like Luka, Maxey, and Christian Wood on the floor, they eviscerate teams. Like they're like an elite team when those 3 are on the floor. Josh Green, Luka on the floor together, that they're an elite team. Like they're not this middling team that we see. They're like legitimately top tier contenders, but like Josh Green will have 10-minute games. Christian Wood will have 21-minute games. Christian Wood will not play next to Luka. Josh Green will have a 30-minute game and play really well. And the next game will have a 12-minute game. It's just all over the map. Nobody knows what's going on. Kid always talks about earning your stripes, but it doesn't make any sense because Tim Hardaway Jr. has been horrible. And it's
like Tibbs.
Yeah, he's still out there. Reggie's minutes have gone down tremendously. So I think he's kind of trending downwards. But I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. Yeah, Josh Green's going to do this tomorrow. I don't know if he plays 35 minutes or 12. I don't know if Christian Wood plays 32 minutes or 16. I just don't know.
That's
as I said, there's a lot of mirroring issues between our two franchises. We can say the same thing about Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin. You know, like a lot of our best 2, 3, 4-man lineups, all of them involve Emmanuel Quickly, and most of them involve Obi Toppin or Sims. Yeah. Sims is one of our most efficient, best players, and he hasn't even played like almost 5 minutes the last 2 games combined. But that Christian Wood trade, I think that trade saved Nico's job. It's definitely the best move that he's made, and it's one of the few times in Mavs history that y'all just completely fleeced the opposing team. I know he was a malcontent, and the Rockets wanted to get rid of him, but what y'all gave up to get a guy who can be, with the right coach, 20-10, man, that was a really – I wrote about it too at the time. It was a kick-ass trade, and it really, I think, saved Nico's overall perception of him as a general manager.
Yeah, no. And also, the thing that made that trade even better was, if you believe what they say, they wanted Jaden Hardy the entire time, and they traded their first-round pick, but he was still there in the second round, and they were able to move up into because they didn't have a second-round pick at all because they traded it in the KP trade. So they were able to trade into the second round in order to get Jaden Hardy, who they wanted the whole time. So you basically just, if you believe what they say, you basically just gave up guys who weren't going to be on the team anyway for Christian Wood. So it was a great trade. No matter what happens, like with him, I thought at the time, I still think it's now, he's always been a 1-year Mav player. Like there's no way he's getting another contract here. I feel like, it's a low risk trade. I mean, even if it doesn't work out, you don't regret it.
I really feel like we should do another trade. We've been doing business for like 5 years now.
I don't want another Knicks player, man.
I don't think they want to trade with us. They got a whole roster,
dude. Like we have Kimba now too. Like I was talking about this last time because we were talking about the Pistons. I was like, my God, Reggie Bullock, Kimba. Well, I guess Kimba never really played there, but he was technically on the team. I was like, can we get players? No offense to the Knicks, but can we get players from like the Celtics or the Warriors?
Y'all don't want Derrick Rose?
Yes, I want winning. I want players from like winning teams. I actually would take Derrick Rose, by the way, if it was cheap. But like, I think it would just the Mavs and the Knicks just need to. Well, I would kick the tires on a Julius Randle trade.
Come on, man.
For me, it would be like you guys are taking Bertans and him in a second. Like there would be no first.
A second, no.
I don't know.
That's where I'm at. I don't want Julius Randle. So it's like if you guys want to get rid of the contract, you guys don't want the contract, we'll just take him, and he can run the pick and roll of Luka and be our short roll guy, which would actually work tremendously. I think.
I think he'd be a great fit with Luka. I think you would probably have to give up a first, maybe either a first. You take off the restrictions on this 2023 first to where it's not top 10 protected, and give us Maxey and Bertans. I would make that trade.
I think take off the protections. That's crazy.
Have you guys? I saw somebody say this, and it kind of makes sense. Have you guys are you guys like thinking of Randall trades?
I'm always thinking of
it. Somebody proposed the Suns one, which kind of made a lot of sense to me for both teams.
I've seen that one. Crowder and Saric.
Yeah.
But
I think for the Suns it would make sense.
It makes sense for the Suns. Why? Okay, I keep saying this. Why are we going to trade Randall to a team who's going to be a top team in the West? We're going to end up getting like a 30th pick. Like, I don't hate Randall, but he's not worth.
I don't know what Randall's
down
value
near a second rounder.
It depends on what year, J. Ellis. If it's a 2027,
yeah, that's true.
A 2027.
Booker probably won't be there anymore.
But Booker's gonna be there. Like, is Booker? How long is Booker contract for?
You never know with future first though. Those are always like the picks where some team will magically get a top 4 pick. You're like, how the hell did they get this? Oh, they traded a pick 6 years ago for that one random role guy, and now they have a top 6 pick.
Right.
I never thought that the Mavs 2023 would be better than the Mavs 2021, and it's looking like it is going to be better. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people in Mavs fandom who think that we should tank. Like, this is the moment we should do it. It's just never going to happen unless, again, knock on glass. If something happened to Luka, knock on glass, they're going to be like they're going to be the Charlotte Hornets. I wouldn't say San Antonio Spurs because they're next level, but they're going to be bad, and they'll probably have a top 10 pick. But unless Luka gets hurt, it's not happening.
I'm glad that you at least acknowledge that Randall would be a good combination with Luka, especially like you said in the short roll, getting to the basket, and as a really a solid 20, 10, and 5 guy. I just don't know. I don't think there's a salary and player match that made sense for both teams because we already had 2 of your picks. We know the value of like where it's going to fall. This worst case scenario is probably going to be 13th pick, which isn't that great. So I think Leon Rose, if he's going to move away from Randall, he's going to want more than that. But I would love to get rid of Randall at Dallas and let him come home.
Randall's value is rising, guys. It's not like last year. It's not the All-Star year for sure. That's the height. But if you're looking at his numbers, it's starting to trend towards respectability. He got 21 points. I mean, he's always been like a 21 and 10 guy. But now he's 21 points a game. He's, field goal percentages. 46% from the field. I mean, for a power forward, I mean he's not all the way on the
RJ was playing better.
If
RJ was playing better more consistently, I think a Randall trade would make a lot of sense for you guys because it would just open up a lot of different things. You could just like spacing would be a little bit better. Every time I watch you guys, it's kind of like a weird fit when Mitch Rob's out there, and then it's just kind of like RJ Barrett sometimes can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn when he shoots. So sorry, I don't know if you guys cuss on here, my bad. Yeah, I think I have no idea what Julius Randle's trade value is though. That's just kind of where I'm at. Well, so if it's like a multiple first situation, then no, I would definitely be out.
I don't think it's multiple first.
I don't think it's
I think it's one and a second.
I don't even think the Mavericks are in a position to trade a first this year because the idea has just been wait until the Knicks get the pick in next year's draft, and then boom, you could trade whatever draft pick you want moving forward. But if you trade a pick this year, it'd have to be 2026, I think, the way the protections play out. And that would then you're in this weird spot where I don't know what the picks would have to be, actually.
I think any deal between us would have to involve a third team, possibly even a fourth, for everyone to get exactly what kind of pieces they're looking for and get off of certain contracts. Like we would probably want to include Fournier on any deal that involves Randall to move off that Fournier contract as well. And I'm sure you guys want to get off Bertans or Timmy too.
It would probably be Timmy. Bertans' contract, if you look at it, it's not that crazy because it's 3 years left. The last year is only like a tiny percent of it is guaranteed. So it's basically expiring going into next year. So it's not like the worst contract in the league anymore. Tim's it goes down in value, but it's bad. I want off that contract. And the Mavericks do too. Like there were tons of rumors that they wanted to trade him at the deadline. Tons of rumors came out this summer that they were looking around a little bit, which is crazy to me because that was like their first move they made last offseason. And they were like immediately, no, we want out of this. Granted, he got hurt, but still.
Crazy. Super crazy. Yeah, and I feel like the Knicks, their only motivation is because you already know Dolan is kind of pissed right now because we're teetering a little bit under 500. Like I can only see stuff like this happening if Dolan just starts to pull triggers and he's like, start OB, because everybody, Knicks fans, they just want to move Randall right now just to get OB minutes, just to see what we have in him, because he was the 8th pick in the draft. Like Lee said, he has this insanely high, not insanely high, but he's always in the top in plus minus for us. And it's funny because
is this his third year?
Give us the best chance defensively all the time, but he actually tries. So people like that he actually tries versus Randall, who just kind of gives up.
Yeah, third year.
Yeah, third year is always an interesting one for a young player because that's when you really got to start to see where a guy's at. You got to think about their option. You got to think about extension. So I do get that, but I don't know. Has Obi really shown enough to be like, yeah, we need to trade? Like, we got to trade Julius Randle to open up things for Obi Toppin. Like, I would think a Julius Randle trade would just open up things for like Brunson a little bit more. And that's why I said if RJ was playing better, because then it's RJ. All right, give the keys to Brunson and RJ and let's go. But
right. Or like Roll says, get a stretch 4 who can play defense. Let RJ be on board a little bit more and open things up. I don't know.
Davis Bertans. Hey, go look at Davis Bertans on off splits. Mavs defense way better when he's out there.
Bertans, really?
I don't know how that made sense. That's like magic.
Hey, go look at it. Bertans' on off splits who's been on the Mavs have been absurd, even going back to last year and in the playoffs. And I really do think he should play more for the Mavs. Like, I'm not just saying that to try and boost his trade value on this podcast. I like legitimately believe he's the only movement shooter the Mavericks have. They have nobody else that can run off a screen, set pin downs forward to move. I mean, it's just, you look at the Mavs roster and it's really like, how did we even end up in this spot?
I wanted it on the Knicks one year, and then I was kind of glad that we didn't get him because he just turned into a pumpkin after he got this money.
I know. Last year's on the Wizards though were just so stinky. Like the vibes there were so terrible. Dinwiddie and Bertans both immediately played way better when they got traded to the Mavericks. I just think there was some weird stuff going on. Beal was like in the weird contract thing. I just think something weird was going on there. Now the vibes are way better, but last year at the time it was just really bad.
Got you. All right.
Yeah, Bertans' contract does suck.
All right. I think we can wrap up the conversation. Do you have anything else you want to say? Any surprise performances you see come from the Mavs or the Knicks?
Let's see. Who's like your most random role player you have on the team that gets minutes?
Our random role player.
Miles McBride.
Who?
Miles McBride. Deuce.
All right, Miles McBride's gonna have Deuce McBride's gonna have an insane game tomorrow. You heard it here first. He's gonna go nuts. It's gonna be a career high. Whatever his career high is, he's doubling it tomorrow morning.
We go.
So
Deuce was in the G League yesterday. Then he dropped 26.
All right. Well, if he's playing tomorrow, Deuce McBride, if you're listening to this and you're playing tomorrow, invite your family, invite your friends, let them know it's gonna be a great day for you because it will be.
Deuce McBride career
That's
tomorrow.
it.
Book it.
I have no sleeper Mavericks performances. Yeah. Somebody in the chat said Mitchell Robinson 29 rebound game. Yeah, that's probably you might see a Zubats performance.
Can I just see IQ just get on track from 3 this year?
Probably.
I just want to see that.
I would see IQ on Luka. That's going to be a good matchup defensively.
Who?
Luka's putting him in the post. That's the problem. Like a small guy, Luka's gotten to the point where he's eviscerating those guys in the post. It used to be a thing where small guys who are a little quick could actually like really kind of throw Luka off, but now he's just putting him right in the post, which is what he should be doing. And it's not anything against IQ. IQ's been a really good defender this year. But it's Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
Indeed it is.
I mean, IQ can cook him on the other side, but he's gonna post IQ.
Oh yeah, Quickly would destroy Luka, like if he gets switched on defensively. He's too fast.
Yeah, he's too fast, but
too shifty.
That'll be a back and forth. But I don't see Tiz putting IQ on Luka because you talk about earn your minutes. The guy is the best defender on the team statistically, and he's only started 2 games in all the seasons he's been here. So talk about guys who might want to leave.
Yeah, it is pretty funny that there are a lot of similarities there.
Yep.
Earn your minutes. It's like Julius Randle. You can not play defense for 3 quarters and you're still going to get 40 minutes a game. Good job.
I've been telling Mavs fans that NBA coaches are just weird. It's not just a Jason Kidd thing. It's a lot of coaches around the league are like this. It's infuriating. But it's probably, you got to remember there's practices. Like we only see probably 20% of stuff going on.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Or maybe these guys in practices are doing stuff the coach doesn't like. We don't know. But it is infuriating when the games, when it matters, you see with your own 2 eyes, oh my God, Josh Green should be playing 30-plus minutes a night. Christian Wood should be playing 30-plus minutes a night. Julius Randle shouldn't be playing in the 4th quarter of this game or whatever the case may be.
Right.
It's crazy to me that Julius Randle has a longer leash than RJ Barrett because, like, you guys will bench RJ Barrett for 4th quarters.
Tibbs has.
Yeah,
definitely has.
Which is crazy to me because you would think if anybody had a long leash, they would give it to the 3rd overall pick they just gave $30 million a year to.
Yeah. Julius has no leash whatsoever. He said you should put Cam or RJ on him. Yeah, I can see that. Or we can trade for Frank and put Frank back on him. Frank did a good job on him when he was with us.
Frank did do a good job. Yeah, he did.
Man, Frank is a great defender. Like he is. He just cannot do anything offensively.
Derrick Rose for Frank.
That's his problem. Derrick Rose for Frank?
Don't shoot me.
I would do that.
The chat's gonna kill me. Nick's chat's gonna kill me.
Is D-Rose? He's definitely getting shopped, huh? I feel like he's been getting shopped by the Knicks forever.
Who, Derrick Rose?
Yeah.
Wasn't he in trade talks last year? It just started to happen. Derrick Rose is Tibbs' boy.
Yeah.
That's his boy.
That's true.
So that just started to happen. And that's front office stuff being tired of what's happening. Because if you notice, like you said, we have a lot of young players. They've been slowly trading away the veterans and benching them.
That's how it probably should be.
Yeah. So the last veterans is Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, and then it'll pretty much be all young guys. And then what? Hartenstein? Is he really
Randall?
old? Not really.
Randall's 28.
You guys like Hartenstein? I wanted Hartenstein really bad in the offseason.
Oh, we'll give him to you.
I like him. I don't think he's used right.
Huh? You don't think he's used right?
Yeah, Tibbs ain't using him right. He's actually been outplayed by Sims. He's probably our third best center. We have a lot of centers, and all of them are pretty good. It's not the opposite of the Mavs. Yeah, I love Sims.
Kid says we have a lot of bigs.
If you combined all of them, you would have like a decent one.
Well, Maxey's our best big, but he's like a 4.
Right.
And Maxey's like legitimately good. Mavs fans hate his guts, but I don't think they realize we'd be kind of lost without him because he's like our defense a lot of the time.
He's my second favorite Mav too. I go to the same coffee shop he goes to. I see him all the time. He's a very nice dude.
Yeah, he seems like a nice dude, and that's what's sad because he has plays like last night. He was in the short roll and turned it over, and Luke was yelling at him, and you almost want to hug him because when he messes up offensively, it looks really bad.
Yeah, it seems
it's like airballing threes.
I'm projecting a bad shooting slump from him after that too.
He's a confidence guy, so it's very likely. But we need him for his defense. I mean, that Warriors game, he was playing some insane like island defense against Steph. He has to be one of the best big island defenders on Steph. I don't know what it is, but he does a great job when he gets switched on to him. Like all things considered, obviously.
Absolutely. All right, man. This is a good time to wrap it up. Slightly biased. Thanks for working on us, man.
Thanks for having me on. It was fun,
man.
Yeah, good talk, man.
Thanks, guys.
Let everybody know where they can find you.
YouTube.com/slightlybiased. I'm actually about to go live in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
watch the Heat Celtics game. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. And then Twitter is @biasslightly. You can find me there. Got you.
Lee, let them know where you can find you, sir.
At Twitter, you can probably find me arguing with Slightly Biased on some random RJ factoid at @_ Lee Escobedo, LEEESCOBEDO. But make sure you follow my man Slightly Biased. He's one of the best NBA follows on Twitter. Always spitting facts, dropping gems. He watches a lot of games outside the Mavs, which I really appreciate. He's just a really fun, entertaining, knowledgeable follow.
Thanks, man. Hey, I haven't said anything too bad about RJ Barrett in a while.
It's been a while. The Mavs have taken up most of your time.
Yeah. I think I did say that shot was bad in that Bucks game just because it was. But he played good in that game, though.
Yeah, he played good in the game.
I agree
the shot was bad. It just was. It was contested. I mean, I understand there was 21 seconds left and you needed a 3. So I get the rationale, but I was hoping for a driving kick there. That's what I was hoping for.
And it just looked like he didn't even want to take it. And then he just kind of just did. But he played well in that game, though.
Yeah, he played well that game. He actually played well in the last 3 out of 4 games or something like that. So I'm hoping it's a trend.
Yeah, he's just an inconsistent guy at this point. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
that is true.
Is. And yes, King Ja, we do own the mass pick this year.
Top 10 protected.
Top 10 protected. So we don't want them to slump too much. You can stay right there at 11. It'll be fine. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I play basketball.
That would be the absolute worst case scenario of all time for the Mavericks.
Worst is best for us. If that pick was 11.
Yeah, that would be a dream come true for you guys, but man, that would be just a horrendous scenario for Dallas. I think that would probably set our team back years.
Be 11, then we get our own pick and we package it and we get like 7 or something. Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
And the Wizards pick.
I'll tell you this: if the Mavericks are turning in that direction, they will tank. Like, there's no way they won't.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think they will too.
It would just be stupid not to.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, you're right about that. Unless you trade Julius Randle for an unprotected pick.
Your best chance is we make the play in and lose in the play in, and then you get like a whatever that would be, 14th pick.
Right, I can see that.
Yeah, that would be the best.
We won, but we won kind of King job, but not really. It was. We bunted. We talked about that earlier. All right, that is our show. You can follow us on the KOT Show on Twitter, Knick Time Show on Instagram, and Knick Time Show on Facebook. All right, that's our show. We out of here, and as always, you know what it is.
Shout out the Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these YouTube and Twitter streets. That's our show. We out of here. Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.